Hi, Paloma.
Hi.
Hi, Mackenzie.
Hi, nice to see you.
You too.
Hola, Paloma. Hi,
Hey,
Paloma.
Adrián.
Hola.
Excuse me.
Already have some early birds here, so we'll give people a little bit more time to join.
Okay.
Okay. Where are the birds coming?
Not from here.
No?
No.
It's me, probably. I'll close
It
that
sounds
door in a
good.
second.
No, it sounds good.
Sounds very relaxing before the webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a big shock to move to the countryside a few months ago, and I don't hear cars, I hear birds now, so.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. However, there is this one bird that I never hear at any time of day, except for 5 in the morning when our door is open, the balcony.
Yes.
Just at
What
sunrise.
kind of bird?
I don't know, but it's very loud.
Oh.
Okay.
So loud that I have to, yeah, I had to wake up the other morning. It was not 5 in the morning, but it was like 6 or 7. And I had to close our balcony doors because it was so loud that it was like, yeah.
He got energy to start the day.
Yeah. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
I wake up
And
every morning with the cars on the street. Lucky you, Mackenzie.
okay. So welcome everyone who's with us so far. You can see we have already some attendees hanging out. Would love to hear. Feel free to pop into the chat. Make sure you change it to all panelists and attendees, and then let us know where you're coming from, your continent, your country, your city, your institution, whatever you'd like to share. Ooh, India. What time is it? Aliskar, what time is it in India? Wow. Okay, not as bad as I thought. Welcome, welcome everyone who's just joined. Feel free to share where you're coming from, your country, your city, your institution, whatever you'd like in the comments. Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining. Give people just another minute or two and then we'll jump in.
Perfect.
Pasadena. Awesome. That is where my dad grew up. My grandfather taught at Pasadena College.
I'm surprised to see too many people. I didn't know that API aware the awareness of API was so expensive.
Yeah. Well, we regularly in our events have anywhere from, we can have, I think our biggest event was almost 600 attendees.
600 people. Wow.
Yeah.
About what topic?
That was actually for the launch of Virtual Courier. Yeah, I think that's about right. And then, yeah, 500, something like that. And then our regular events get, it really depends on the topic, right? Sometimes, like for this particular topic, it's a little bit more specific. So not everyone is necessarily going to jump in, but, we've had sort of our weekly events can have, 100, 200 attendees too. Belfast, welcome. Okay, well, I think we'll probably get started, and then as people join us, they can hop in. We also have lots of people who join us for the recordings afterwards, so that will be, I'm sure there's lots of people going to watch this particular recording. I know we had lots of people RSVP'd, so lots of them like to not come in on a Thursday evening, and then they tend to, they wait for the recording to come into their inbox, and they can watch it whenever they'd like. So welcome everybody to ArtEvolve. We are already in the middle of June. Oh my goodness gracious. I am Mackenzie Garrity, the CCO of Articheck, and I have joining us today, we have both Abian Zaya, who's the founder and CEO of IT Gallery, and Paloma Arense, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing.
It's great.
Who's client liaison of IT Gallery. So I'll let both of them introduce themselves. Abian?
Hi, I'm Abian Zaya from IT Gallery, and I'm the CEO, and I'm a computer engineer as a professional background with more than 10 years of experience in developing and directing software projects. And 5 years ago, I had the crazy idea to join my two passions, the art world and the software development. And I decided to create IT Gallery. And we detect that we have a huge business opportunity, particularly in Spain. And from there, we have been growing in Latin America and especially in Europe. And I was in charge of developing the first version of the system, and thanks God there is nothing left of that first version, and it's bigger than now. And little by little, we have been incorporating people until we are already a team of 7 people in the IT Gallery team, and we also work with several external collaborators. And I'm very proud to do that from a place like Canary Island. It's not Madrid or Barcelona. It's where all the big projects or the great projects in Spain are made, and that it's really. I'm really proud for that, and I invite all of you to come to visit Canary Island, because it's a great place to stay. So Paloma, introduce yourself if you want.
Yeah, well, when Abian got the crazy idea of creating IT Gallery, he also got the opportunity to come into my master, which was about art management. And the idea sounds great, so I asked him to join the team. From that moment, which was 5 years ago, 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
I started collaborating and then make it into the client liaison part of the of the company, and just keep growing with the company and participate in everything that we have created.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing your background and the story of IT Gallery. Will you tell us a little bit more about what exactly IT Gallery does and who you work with?
Mm-hmm. So we are a technological company, and we have different aspects in the sense that we serve different agents of the art world. But our main activity is the IT Gallery database, which is a software management for artists, galleries, and collectors. So it depends on the needs of everyone. It will vary, but the base is a database management that combines everything you need in a daily basis, like artwork inventory, sales, online viewing rooms, mailing. So kind of the daily activity of the gallery or the artist, which is kind of similar to the gallery, but just for yourself, and also the collections.
Wonderful. So what we're going to be talking about today is demystifying APIs for the art world, right? And the reason that we decided on this particular topic for Paloma and Abian to join us is because we are actually just launching our API integration with IT Gallery, which is exciting. So just a heads up, if you use IT Gallery or you use Articheck and you would like to use the other one, or you happen to use both, the way that it works is that it allows you to actually, if you're a gallery and you use IT Gallery as your database, you can now pull in your condition reports into the system. And you can also use summary condition reports in both your internal system and also in your OVRs for facilitating sale. So what I'm going to jump into now is actually, let's start with a poll here. So this first poll is just me asking everyone without any information up till now. Have you ever used an API? Okay, so yes, no, I have no clue. All three are good answers. So have you seen one before? Have you used one before? Are you not sure? Okay, great. So it looks like these are our results here. I can just share them. We have, many of you have used an API before, which is great. We also have those of you who haven't and those of you who are not sure. So hopefully we can clarify that by the end of this hour, right? That's our goal. Okay, so what we're going to first do before I go into having Paloma and Abian share their expertise in this field, and I'll pop in a bit too, as we also do a lot of work with APIs over here at Articheck, is to go over just the basics of what is an API, so we're all on the same page. Okay, so I'm sure some of you are in this room, maybe have a little bit more information about this, but this way we'll just kind of go over the basics. So let me just share my screen here. Okay. All right. Can everyone see that? Yes, good. Awesome. Okay. So what we're going to talk about, through today is a couple of things. First, I'm going to go over now, what is an API? How does it work? Then we'll talk about why they're valuable and particularly valuable to the art world, how they can be used in the art world, and how do you get one set up? If you'd like to use an API and you know that a software that you work with has one, how do you get it set up? How do you get it working? And then we'll have some question and answer. So when we're talking about APIs, right, we're actually talking about API integrations. Okay, so I'm going to separate out these two terms for us quickly. And we're going to talk about what an API is versus what an integration is and what they mean together. So first, we're going to start with the integration part. Okay, so what is an integration? An integration in the context of software, all right, so you can have integration in any type of technology, but we're going to talk about it in the context of software today. So an integration of software is connecting two or more systems, software systems, to create a new larger system. These software applications work together in the new system to complete organizational processes more efficiently and effectively. Okay, this is called a system integration. So usually we call softwares systems on their own. So Articheck is a system, IT Gallery is a system, and then you can actually integrate them together so that they make a bigger, more comprehensive system that can do more processes. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some of the reasons why you would want an integration, right? What are you trying to do, right? What are you trying to accomplish? These are called integration patterns. So we have migration, which is moving information from one software to another. Okay, this might be something that you want to do. There's also broadcast, which is where you're sending one-to-many communication. So you're sending information from one software to many other softwares. Then there's aggregation, which is where you're taking a bunch of data in a variety of different softwares and sending it all to the same software, okay? And then there's bidirectional sync, which is just a fancy version of saying migration both ways, right? So not only are you moving data from one software to another, but you're also moving data back, okay? So these are the four primary ways that we can think about integration when we're thinking about software. Okay, so now let's look at what an API is. An API just stands for Application Programming Interface. Okay, so that interconnection, an API essentially acts like a road between cities. Okay, so APIs are a type of software that allows for two or more software applications to connect to each other. APIs can also connect different pieces of a single software application internally. We're going to be talking about APIs that connect two different softwares today. So APIs are like roads. While the software applications are like cities, without a road, the cities are just completely separate entities. They're siloed. People can't travel between the two cities, right? People and cars and things can't travel between the two cities. But with the road, those two cities get integrated into a larger system, okay? And they are able to interact and communicate with each other. So the API is the road and the software systems are the cities. So what's some important need to know basics about APIs, okay? And why are they the main method of integration? The main method of integration worldwide is via API, okay? Integration between two software systems. So one of the reasons is because APIs are built for security. Instead of opening up your entire software application just to anyone to go around and dig in, right? With an API, you're just sending precise small packets of data to a destination, okay? So you're not worried about saying, here everyone, take whatever information you need, right? You have to have a special key in most cases to access the data in another system, right? So essentially no one can log into the data of your account without using your special login key, okay? And then precise small packets of data are sent. So it's not that all the data is accessible from one software to another. You actually choose exactly what pieces of data are going to be accessible between the two softwares. APIs are also is the main method of integration because they're accessible. Many applications have APIs. They have that ability to build a road between two different cities, and they're publicly available, okay? So you don't need to pay for that code to be built. It is already there, it already exists. And in many cases, when you go onto a software's website, they will actually have a page that explains all of their API and how it works and how to get connected to it. We also have the fact that APIs are standardized. You'll see very similar features across most APIs worldwide, and that's how they can work together, right? That's how you're able to connect different softwares together, is because they're using the same language, they're using the same type of road. All right, so how do these work exactly? I'm going to use a metaphor now of a restaurant. All right, so we're in a restaurant, right? And we're sitting at a table and we want some food. We're not going to go to the kitchen and make food and bring it back to our table, right? There are other things in place that allow for that to happen, okay? So if we're thinking about the scenario in a restaurant, we're sitting at the table and we're software A. Okay, the kitchen is software B, and the waiter is the API. Okay, so we have us at the table, we're software A, the kitchen is software B, and the waiter is the API. So step one is to create a request. Software A, so we're sitting at the table, we need to compile a request to send to software B. So we're looking through the menu and we decide, okay, we would like to have this pasta dish. All right, so then we can't just go to the kitchen and tell the chef that that's what we would like to eat. There is a middleman there that's going to do that for us, and that's going to be the waiter. And that waiter acts like an API. Okay, so they take our order and the API delivers our request to software B, the kitchen. Then software B completes software A's request. So they make our dish in the kitchen, they make our meal, make our pasta dish, and then step 4 is the response, which is where the API tells software A that the request is completed and it includes relevant details. So the API, aka the waiter, brings our meal back to our table and we're able to enjoy it. Okay, so if you think about APIs this way, this is the way that we can connect two different software systems that before couldn't communicate with each other, right? The waiter is our API. That is the way that we're able to communicate between these two different software systems that actually are doing very different things, right? Over here, we're ordering and we're eating, and on the other end, they're cooking, right? So they don't have the same purpose. But by connecting them together, you actually create a bigger system that's able to complete a process that couldn't have been done before. Okay, so Abian and Paloma, let's talk a little bit about APIs. Oh, actually, before that though, now that I've given you this explanation, everybody, right, about APIs and how APIs work, I'll give you an example of an API within a system. So has anyone here ever used a third-party travel website like Kayak or Skyscanner, anything like that? Tell me in the comments. Have you used any third-party travel website to book travel or to book a rental car, rentalcars.com, anything like that? Yeah? Okay. So how does rentalcars.com get the information from Hertz? They use Hertz's API. Okay. Same thing with Skyscanner. How does Skyscanner pull American Airlines data? They use the API. Okay. So that's how those systems get connected. All right, so I'm going to ask again. We're going to do a poll one more time. Let's try it again. How many of you have ever used an API? Have you ever bought travel on a third-party website? Have you ever ordered goods on a website that wasn't the website of that company? Yeah, I think a lot more of you. Let's see. Here you go. Okay, yes. At this point, most of you have used an API, and some of you have not. So I think we'll continue talking and we'll see if we can change your mind by the end, right? So car insurance price comparison. Yes, that too, right? So, you know, we use APIs in our daily life, okay? We all have definitely connected at some point or another to a website that uses an API, okay? That uses an API integration with another software system or many other software systems. So what we're going to talk about now is APIs in the context of the art world, now that we kind of all have the basics down. So what are some examples of APIs that we might be familiar with, Paloma and Abian?
Well, particularly in the art world, I think you are leading the industry here with the integrations through API. But on a daily basis, there are also some good examples aside from the ones that you have said, like, for example, when you log in with Gmail or with your Facebook account into any other platform, that's also an API. Or when you save anything into Drive, that will be the type of API that you explained before, which is internal, like you are in Gmail and you attach something which is over 25 megabytes, that's using an API. So I think all of us here have used an API, so we all can find examples. They are especially useful for daily, because it's kind of a communication, right? The communication that you have with the waitress the one that performs the action that you request, you are always communicating one way or another using an API.
Sure, that's true. There's a lot of softwares that we use kind of on a regular basis that are not maybe art world softwares that use APIs. So email and yeah. I mean, also things like Zoom, right? Webinar systems use APIs all the time to make connections and yeah. And actually, in fact, who signed up for this webinar? All of you, right? You've all used an API then. Because we have a form that you use to sign up on the website that then connects to Zoom and tells Zoom that you've signed up, right? So even that is an API. So there's so many different connections between software systems that you may not even realize, right, when you're using them, that are connected via those roads, via those APIs. So, and of course, IT Gallery has an API, Articheck has an API. There are other, you know, art world software systems that use APIs that are available. So why are API integrations valuable?
Okay, I think that the API helps. It's like you said in your great presentation. Congratulations! I love the example of the restaurant. It's a great example, and I think that I'm going to use when I need to explain how API works. It's a great example. So returning to your question, they help you to save. The more valuable asset you've got, that is the time. I think that the purpose of an API it's to allow you to sharing data between systems, so you don't have to start from scratch in every platform. I mean, in every platform you use, and you can automatize all the processes and optimize your daily tasks.
I think Abian cut out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Paloma, do you have anything?
API integration is that the more systems you use. Sorry, it's my connection. I mean,
now it's great.
It's good now.
It's great. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about my internet connection. I said that one key point about the value of an API integration, in my opinion, is that the more systems you use on your daily basis, the more value you'll get from the API integration, because I mean, you can connect more systems and you can create a bigger one. It's like the more cities you have connected with different roads, the bigger city you can visit. And in this sense, it's very handful from the point of view that, of the customer, because you're not attached just to one platform. I mean, you can select the work of tools that you want to use and connect them through the API. I mean, you can use IT Gallery from your database, you can use Articheck for your condition reports, you can use WordPress, Squarespace, or some other CMS to create your website. You can use MailChimp from send your campaigns or your newsletter, and you can use all your favorite tools and connect them to create your daily tools. I mean, you don't need to use or to find just one platform that have all that services you want, and you can choose the best pieces of application, of the best applications that you need, and create a big system that you can use for your daily basis. I mean,
yeah, and it's sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It's also useful for companies, because as a company you can't achieve you can compete with your files, but you can compete with all the world. If, for example, our main area is database, but if we want to compete with MailChimp, it will require a lot of effort, money, time to have that and to provide that to our customers. So it's a win for the customers and also for the companies, because you make your system more complete by integrating with others.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that we see in the software world, right, is that the more you try to add on to a software, sort of doing a lot of different, very separate processes in one software, the harder it is to keep that software running well, right?
the more features you want to add to your software, it's the more complicated to maintain that software and to grow up and to keep the software free of bugs or something like that.
Right. And I think that's why, a lot of the, a lot of us in the art world are used to working with one central database, right? So whether that's galleries or museums or conservators or shippers, right? You have either like a central logistics database, an inventory management database, or you have like a collections management database, right? That's kind of your main home where you live, but those databases can't do everything. And so API integrations, as long as that database allows for it, allow you to sort of add on all those other features, right, that you would like to have ideally in the database, but, it don't exist. So yeah, I mean, I think also in terms of storing data, right, if you have kind of one central place where you're storing data, but you're using a lot of other softwares for other functions, you want eventually all of your important data to be stored in your central database. Right? And without API integrations, you have to save that data in your database manually, which, like you were saying, Abian, takes a lot of time. Yeah. So we see a lot with condition reports where people will do condition reports like in PDF format, but then in order to get that along with all the images and, all of the sort of pieces of a condition report into the central database, it takes almost double the time because they have to save, they have to, go back and save all the data in the central place and upload all the photos and, etc. So, yeah. So how can APIs be used in the art world? So what problems do APIs solve for art world organizations?
Well, the one that you just described, and especially now that we are turning to the online world and marketplaces and database online. So art first online. So everything is, especially if you see it with an example from the point of view of a gallery, they have their database. So they give the data they get their data for the artist, they upload it in their database, they upload it for the conditions report, they upload it for the marketplace, for the artwork, for the website, for the social media. So they have to put the same data, not twice, but 5 times for just one artwork. So that could lead for mistakes, because if you do it manually, you can, we are humans, so we can commit errors and data can miss it. And it's also the synchronization, because if you have your website and you have connected that with your database, if you make a sale through your website, then you automatically know that has been sold. So if you are in an artwork online and that artwork is no longer available, it will synchronize all of that at the same time. So I think that the main beneficial point of view from the main beneficial that a customer that is using software that uses API will be the synchronization and the avoiding mistakes introducing data.
Right. So I think the point that you're mentioning about galleries, particularly, more recently going more online and doing more e-commerce sales, that definitely is a good point, that if you kind of don't have the sale point connected to your database, then you're having to constantly manually check, right, whether or not, things have been sold or an inquiry has been made, right, and it comes into an email and the email is not connected to the database, and it can definitely get confusing.
If you do that yourself, if it's a small gallery with a small team, then the communication is kind of easy. It can be overwhelming, but the communication is possible. But when you do it in big galleries with big members, the communication is key to keep everything running.
Yeah, definitely. And then, for museums, if you think about their members, right, and how they keep track of their members and communicate with their members, I'm sure if you're thinking about, sending out mass emails versus, maintaining the member list, and are you going to do everything in an email client like MailChimp? Probably not, right? You're going to want to store that data somewhere else. So having those connections for museums, I think, are very important. Also, when you think about, going out and looking for donors, right? you're going to want to have the ability to communicate with them, but also you're going to want to have the data on them in a member database somewhere. So, you know, we're not just talking the art itself, but also, you know, the customers and the visitors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, what other problems have you come across? Any other problems in the art world that APIs can help to solve? Fabian?
I don't know, Paloma, do you have any other problem? Are you thinking?
No, I think that's the main. I think the big problem is having to introduce everything more than twice.
Yeah. Yeah, duplication of effort and error, potential user
Mm-hmm.
error.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if there's an existing API integration with a software or with two softwares that I use, how do I find out? How do I know?
Oh, I think it will vary from platform to platform, but usually a company have a designated space on their websites or knowledge bases explaining how their API works. And one example of good documentation and a good process in the API it's your website. In ArtEvolve, you have all the API documentations really fine. And in our own experience, it was really easy to integrate IT Gallery with ArtEvolve because of the documentation in your website. I mean, we don't need to ask your technical team for anything. I mean, we can do the integration just to seeing at the documentation, and I mean it's you can find all that information in the websites of the companies, and also if you want to know if one company have an API integration, or if you want to know if you can integrate with that, I think that it's a good idea to ask the company, sending an email or asking via social media or something, and to not hesitate to ask for that integration of that APIs.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, when you're thinking about API integrations, if you're already using a software, there's a couple places you can look. The first, right, is to go onto the website, and usually there's a section that's called API integration or for developers, something like that. If there's any sort of public page like that, right, then they have an API integration for sure. Also, I know, for example, within IT Gallery, there's a section in the settings that says integrations. And it's the case too for other softwares that, you know, for example, we use at ArtEvolve, we use a CRM system. And there's a section that says for integrations, and it actually will tell you all the integrations available and how to set them up. So, you know, there tends to be some if there's an existing one already, right, between the two softwares. And then if you can't find those pieces of information, right, you can always ask, right? Like Abhian mentioned, you can speak to a customer service representative, send an email, but something else that, you know, I definitely recommend doing is that if you're looking around for a new software to use for a specific purpose, whether that's for, you know, membership management, or it's for condition reporting, or it's for your main database, or it's for, you know, online viewing rooms or your website, whatever it is, right? Part of the process of deciding whether or not that software is going to work for you should be looking to see if it has API integrations with the softwares that you already use, right? So that's something that's very important, you know, to consider, is that, can I connect this and make my life easier and save my time and, you know, reduce user error by connecting, you know, this potentially new software to ones that I already use. And so this is something that we get, you know, from clients that sort of have really large softwares in place and are really sort of used to doing API integrations and technical, you know, think more technically about the softwares that they choose, rather than just looking at the features that are offered. You know, one of the questions that they'll ask is, can I integrate my main database with you, right? And so, and that will sometimes be part of, you know, that can help to make the decision.
Yeah. I think that's a great advice, because we haven't experienced that too much. mean, galleries come and they use it, but we recently got asked to integrate with accountable software, which is, again, correct me if I'm wrong, is Sage. So
Yes.
it's a big company to account management, and we integrate because a customer that we were talking for a long time, they need it. Otherwise, it was not possible to use IT Gallery. So for smaller companies like us, sometimes you don't know which is happening behind the scenes with the API, but sometimes it's worth making the effort because you see the long-term benefits. So always asking, will always, you don't, if there's a saying in Spain, which it will be something, if you don't cry, you don't get, or something like that. So sometimes it's better to ask instead of making assumptions about the company. If it's too big, they are not going to listen to me, or if it's too small, they will, they will not fit my needs. So that's a great advice.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, let's say we know that there is an existing API integration between two softwares. What do I do? How do I make it go? How do I make it start? Typically. Or how does it work with an IT gallery? How do I turn something on?
Oh, to start to use the API with IT Gallery, it's really easy. You just have to ask ourselves and ask for the documentation and create a demo with the system and see how it works. In the case of the integration between IT Gallery and ArtCheck, one system acts as the data emitters. I think IT Gallery has all the information about the artworks, and ArtCheck acts as the receptor of that information. We send all the information to ArtCheck, and so when you select the artworks in the platform, all the artworks are sent to IT Gallery.
Sure.
This integration gives us the information and links to create the condition report links and link to the online viewing rooms. I mean,
right. So let's say that I'm working at a gallery and I would like to turn on the integration between ArtCheck and IT Gallery. Do I need to code? Do I need to know?
No, you don't need to code anything. I mean, you only have, if you already know that ArtCheck and IT Gallery are connected, the only thing you want to do is go to IT Gallery, and in the integration section, you only have to enter your username and your password in ArtCheck, and that's all. Internally, that do the magic and connect the two systems. And once, if your password and your username and your password is correct, and ArtCheck says to us, okay, this is an ArtCheck user, and we confide in them, the both systems are connected, and you can send all the information from IT Gallery to ArtCheck just to select the artworks from your artwork list and click on an options that say, okay, send that artworks to ArtCheck, and click on a button send, and automatically that artworks appears on your ArtCheck account. It's really easy. You don't need to, once the integration was made, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to know programming, and you don't need to do anything to integrate both systems.
Yeah, so we're just using IT Gallery and ArtCheck as an example, but any two systems that you find that have an integration between them that already exists, in most cases, all you have to do, right, everyone who's joined us here in the webinar today, all you have to do is sign in with your username and password. Now, why is that, right? Well, the integration between the two, right, the road, will not open because it's not between the two softwares as a whole. It's between the two accounts in the softwares. And that's part of the security element of it, right? It's not that everything available in the software that you're trying to pull data from, you can access anybody's account anytime. No, you can only access your account and the data in your account. So all you have to do is, when you sign in with your username and password for the software you would like to connect, then it will check, make sure that you are an actual user, right? It'll take that custom API key that I was talking about, and then it will be able to, the integration works as planned, right? So ideally, anybody can do it, right? You don't need to be on the tech team. You don't need to be a programmer. You don't need to be able to code. You don't even need to be able to use the software necessarily that well, because what will happen is it will guide you. So just for the example of IT Gallery and Articheck, once you have the integration turned on, you're able to select a number of artworks, and it will tell you, it will give you an option of creating condition reports, right, for those artworks. So here's the question now, right, which we were talking about a little bit before, Abyan, which is, what if there isn't an API integration set up, but I want to connect them? What do I do?
I think that you have to ask for that integration. I mean, usually all the companies are happy to integrate with another one, because it means that you can grow as a company, and you can get more customers as if you are a single company. It's like the example of the cities and the roads. It's great if you are a nomad village in a mountain, and you don't have roads, and you don't want to connect with other systems. Your growth as a city, as a civilization, it really, I don't know, it's
limited. Yeah,
exactly. It's really limited. So you need to expand, and you need to connect with other software. I mean, if someone from the city next to you comes to you and saying, "Hey, what's up? Are you interested in build a road to connect our both cities and share our facilities?" The usual option is that say yes. So I think that if you don't have that integration, or if you think that there is no integration, the only thing you have to do is to ask for it, and I think that and that's all.
Yeah, and I think that it's, asking is really important part of how API integrations usually get set up in the first place in many cases, because there's so many softwares out there that any company could integrate with. So in order to prioritize which ones to integrate with, either they have to have, a really clear benefit for your existing clients, or one of your clients needs to ask you to do it, right? I'm sure that's the case for IT Gallery as well.
I think if we prepare the core of IT Gallery to integrate with several with several software. I mean, at first we have a closed system, and for us it's very difficult to connect with other systems. What we do a change in the core system to do an API and to prepare the system to connect with other systems. So if you see that there is one software that already have 1, 2, 3 any one API connections, I think that they can integrate with other software in an easy way, because they are ready to do it.
Yeah. So if you're already the client of a software, or you're choosing which software you'd like to use for a specific purpose, then ask, right? Ask. And in many cases, they may say, okay, yeah, I mean, we were just waiting for someone to come with some interest for the integration, but we're willing to do it, right? Because it takes, not a lot of time, but a little time to do every integration. So as long as there's interest, it's more likely that the integration will be created. So yeah. Okay, so we're happy to answer any questions. Feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A section. So if you have any questions about just how the APIs work, if you have, an API integration that you're trying to get set up and you're not sure how to do it, and if you have any specific questions, if you have questions about what can APIs do, right? Anything along those lines, I'm sure that Abyan and Paloma and I would be more than happy to answer. or do you want to know if a certain software will connect? Y'all are quiet today.
You explain everything really clear.
Apparently I was too clear. I didn't leave enough ambiguity for questions. Any questions on anything? Yeah, Paloma, go ahead.
While we wait for questions to come, I think there is an example that remarks the importance about asking, which is Artsy. You know, that's the biggest.
Artsy. Mm-hmm.
So they have an API, but it's quite yet. So I think they will open it in the future, but they are still not available for connecting with everything. So if people keep asking to RC if they are using IT Gallery or they are using another platform or they are using ArtCheck, if people keep asking RC to open their API, I think they will do it for sure. I mean, I think they will do it anyway in the future, but it will advance the result early.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, I think we're all just, yeah, apparently we answered all of the questions.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad. I hope this was helpful for everyone who joined us today. Thank you so much for coming out and hanging out to talk about APIs with Abian and Paloma and I. So if you would like to check out IT Gallery, Paloma, do you want to pop a link into the chat there?
Yes.
Yeah, and just make sure it goes to all panelists and attendees. And then, of course, if you have any questions about APIs going forward, you want to know, anything about API integrations, you're also welcome to, I'm always available via email. So here is my email if you have any follow-up questions about APIs or how APIs work with ArtCheck. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Abian. Thank you, Paloma.
Thank you, Mackenzie, for the invitation.
Sure. See you next time. Bye.
Bye. See you.